All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected, and I am out of frame, but now I'm in frame. Hopefully, the sound is okay. You got that right, Victory Gin. I needed some Victory coffee. I started the show and realized, like, oh, there's nothing in my cup. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And I was very sad and a little frightened. But here we are. We're live on Rockfin, YouTube, and on Rumble. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry for the late start. It seems I'm trying not to do this quite so much, but yeah. I'm also dealing with just being kind of displaced from a home, and everything's all over the place. So please bear with me. I'm trying not to just use it as an excuse, but it is true. I'm all over the place, and trying to figure out life. Okay, where to start? Where even to start? There's a lot happening, and what's new with that? We'll start with this, which is um, good thoughts from Robert Sterling. I don't want to connect my coffee machine to the Wi-Fi network. I don't want to share the file with OneDrive. I don't want to download an app to check my car's fluid levels. I don't want to scan a QR code to view the restaurant menu. I don't want to let Google know my location before showing me the search results. I don't want to include a Teams link on the calendar invite. I don't want to pay 50 different monthly subscription fees for all my software. Uh, I don't want to upgrade to TurboTax Platinum plus audit protection. I don't want to install the WebEx plugin to join the meeting. I don't want to share my car's braking data with the actuaries at State Farm. I don't want to text with your AI chatbot. I don't want to download the Instagram app to look at your picture. I don't want to type in my email address to view the content on your company's website. I don't want a text message. I don't want text messages with promo codes. I don't want to leave your company a 5-star Google review in exchange for the chance to win a $20 Starbucks gift card. I don't want to join your exclusive community in the metaverse. I don't want AI to help me write my comments on LinkedIn. I don't even want to be on LinkedIn in the first place. Damn straight. But LinkedIn is weird to me. Can anybody explain? I mean, I know what it is. Don't explain it to me. I just want to pay for a product one time and one time only. Know that it's going to work flawlessly. Press 0 to speak to an operator if I need help, and otherwise be left alone and treated with some small measure of human dignity if that's not too much to ask anymore. He also typed, can't believe that I typed the entire rant and forgot to mention I don't want to leave a 25% tip on the touch screen. Somebody else says, I don't want the app. Oh, you can order your food on the app. Did you use the app? The app is really easy to use. You should order it on the app. Just order it on the app and we'll bring it out to you. Do you want the app rewards? Just use the app. Use the app. It's the app. Steph C says, remember when Dems made fun of Conway saying that the microwave is listening? Dems and libs can be stupid. Yeah. Making fun of conspiracy theorists can backfire pretty dramatically. I think I'm going to try and turn down this mic. I don't know how to turn down this mic. I'm not really sure that I'm turning down this. Maybe that's it. Oh, okay. I don't know. I guess that's better. Maybe that's better. I think that's a little less hot. All right. Sorry. And I also posted the show late. So my bad. I'm just slacking today. I was trying to do things. Other things. And I don't know. Frustrating morning all around is all I can say. Let's see. So Trump seems to be losing his mind around Gaza. And I don't know where to begin. Oh, speaking of Dems, speaking of bringing up Dems stuff, Adam McKay, quoting this from Politico, Schumer signals Democrats won't pick a shutdown fight, right? They're always so like, well, nah, that's okay. Adam McKay says everyone needs to stop in any way treating the Dems like a separate political party fast. They are in on it. Somebody says they've been in on it for years. That's why we got Trump. Yes, 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 yes. And the Dem, I was talking about the Democrats are the Washington Generals of Congress. That's right. That's exactly it. They're always like, oh, we don't have any power. While at the same time telling you to fight back, resist. These are the bad guys. Get out there and vote. Vote harder. And then when the bad guys get into power, they're like, I don't know. What can we do? Remember when they overturned Roe versus Wade and they were like, the Democrats were like, what can we do? You guys have a majority. You had a tie-breaking vote in the Senate. You could have codified Roe versus Wade. You could have done something. You didn't. They didn't do anything except go like, well, this is a dark day, but we're just going to let it stand. That's fine. I know it was a court ruling, but I'm just saying they could have, offered some kind of resistance other than like, well, that sucked. Anyways, make sure to get your COVID shot if you want to keep your job. You don't want to be a conspiracy theorist now, do you? All right. So back to Trump ramping the. This is what he said, and this is concerning. David Icke posts this: Israel owned to the enamel on his teeth, pushing in chairs for Netanyahu and whatnot. And this is what he has to say, which is weird and also scary. Weird and scary at the same time.
Does it delay that, or should the ceasefire then be off?
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision. But as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday. And if they're not returned, all of them.
Noon on Saturday.
In drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock. And after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy what's happened, how people can be that mean to do. I mean, the one guy was laughing when a hostage he thought his family was alive.
He's just making up stuff.
The family was dead, and this
dude is just making up stuff. This is just totally off the cuff. Like, this is as unprepared. I mean, you can tell he's just like, I would say noon. How about noon on Saturday? He's just like, well, and then they're bad. These guys, the Hamas, this is bad. They're just bad people and evil. They're like so evil, dude. He's just somebody was saying, I don't know, that they didn't think that Trump was owned by Israel, that maybe he was just aligned with their wants and needs. And I was like, well, yeah. I can't. I can't with that one. Because dude is owned. I mean, come on, man. Like, every single step of the way. You can't, like, everything that he's doing He's not just like, well, I just happen to agree with what, no. It's like RFK is owned. He's owned because, 99.9% of everything he says, has like logic and common sense behind it. And then he gets to Israel and just spouts a bunch of like nonsense, absolute just garbage nonsense that doesn't make sense to anybody at all who has a brain. And then the only conclusion you can come to is, well, yeah, he's owned too. They got his ass. They got his ass. What's the rest of it?
Captor, so to speak, his captor started laughing.
Oh, I don't need to listen to this. It's just ridiculous. Glenn Greenwald says Netanyahu told his cabinet office officials from the start that Israel has no intention to proceed to the next rounds of the ceasefire. Israeli officials are telling the New York Times that Israel has violated key parts of the deal so that they can blame Hamas and bomb what's left of Gaza. Or wasn't that the plan from the start? 9 paragraphs into today's New York Times story on the situation with Gaza ceasefire, readers are informed that Israeli officials and international mediators said that Hamas's claims were accurate. And I'm going to read this. The current standoff stems in part from Hamas's accusation that Israel has failed to uphold its promises for the first phase of the ceasefire. Under the terms of the deal, Israel was required to send hundreds of thousands of tents into Gaza, among other humanitarian supplies, a promise that Hamas says Israel has not kept. Speaking on condition of anonymity, 3 Israeli officials and 2 mediators said that Hamas's claims were accurate. There's something else here. I know there's something else here. Michael Tracy saying Netanyahu now repeating Trump's ultimatum. This would mean the ceasefire framework has essentially been trashed with full U.S. backing, and the war will resume in a matter of days. Now with even fewer restrictions that had been meagerly imposed by the Biden administration. I didn't know that there were any restrictions by the Biden administration. Were there? A restriction sounding words. That's about all there was. There weren't actual restrictions. They would say like, oh, there's some kind of boundaries here. And then, and then Israel would go outside the boundaries and they'd go, did we say that? I don't think we said that. Did we? Oh, that wasn't really what we said. That wasn't really the terms we laid out. So I don't know what restrictions he's talking about, but if Hamas does not return our hostages by Saturday noon, the ceasefire will end. The IDF will resume intense fighting. They're not fighting anybody. They're not. Who are they fighting? You mean intense destruction? There's not, people pointed out early on in this thing. It's not a war. It's just a slaughter. It's a freaking genocide. It's a slaughter. It is not a war. They're not fighting anybody. And the people that they're supposedly fighting, they own and control and fund. That's not fighting. It's called play acting, so that you can bomb a bunch of civilians into smithereens. So there's that. Ron Paul is a voice of reason. Supposedly he's got the ear of the Trump White House, but it doesn't really matter, because if you are owned, if you can't listen to reason because somebody's telling you to jump so high, or else. then it doesn't, reason is not really a player in this. Morals, not really a player. Anything resembling humanity, not really a player. But let's listen to Ron Paul at least speak some words of clarity.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the weekly report. The U.S. should not take over Gaza. This week, President Trump upended U.S. Middle East policy by announcing that the United States would take over war-ravaged Gaza and turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East. President Trump also said the Palestinians living in Gaza would be temporarily relocated to Jordan or Egypt. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul came out strongly against the proposal. Senator Paul pointed out that the plan contradicted the American people's vote for America First. What was surprising was that South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham expressed skepticism about sending Americans to take over Gaza. This may be the first time in Senator Graham's political career that he has opposed sending U.S. troops abroad. Senator Graham is correct that most South Carolinians are not excited about sending Americans or U.S. tax dollars to take over Gaza. Neither are most Americans. In fact, polls show that the majority of Americans oppose providing military aid to Israel or other countries. One of the best comments was made by libertarian scholar and podcaster Tom Woods. He suggested that Trump Gaza's proposal is the type of wasteful overseas spending that DOGE should be working to eliminate. Trump's plan has also been criticized by the government of Saudi Arabia. This could mean that if President Trump follows through with this proposal, it will further push Saudi Arabia away from the United States and toward the BRIC alliance. Some of the BRICS nations want to challenge the dollar's world reserve currency status. One of the foundations of the dollar's world reserve currency status is the petrodollar. This arose from the deal Henry Kissinger negotiated with Saudi Arabia, where the Saudis agreed to use dollars for oil trade in exchange for U.S. support for the Saudi regime. Recently, Saudi Arabia has given signs that it will be willing to use other currencies, such as the Chinese renminbi, for its oil trade. The loss of the dollar's world reserve currency status would cause a major U.S. economic crisis. It would force the government to make massive cuts in warfare and welfare spending and would lead to violence and a government crackdown on our liberty. U.S. ownership of Gaza, accompanied by forcible relocation of Palestinians, would cause increased resentment of the United States. This could result in increased terror attacks against the U.S. Even if a long-term U.S. occupation of Gaza went 100% according to plan, the U.S. government, which has an over $36 trillion and growing debt, cannot afford another open-ended overseas military commitment. Instead, President Trump should follow through on his campaign rhetoric about withdrawing from unnecessary military commitments. This, not tariffs, will help make America more competitive on the international economy. The best thing the United States can do to rebuild Gaza and promote peace in the Middle East is to stop funding Israel's occupation and blockade of Gaza. Instead, the U.S. should work toward peaceful relations backed by free trade with Israel and its neighbors. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Thought there was something good down here. On top of all that, let's see. something else in here. Oh, Michael Tracy. On top of all that, all the anti-war rhetoric by Trump is not not lining up with his rhetoric on military spending, which went up every year when he was president, just like it goes up every year when someone else is president. It doesn't every single president, it goes up every single year. They all vote for it, the Democrats included. Supposedly Trump is Hitler or a fascist, or he was Russia, a Russia bot. But when he was president, the Democrats backed every single one of his military budgets, backed every single one of his military escapades. Didn't really, had nothing really to, I'm sure AOC came out and did a watery Instagram about, something or other, but mostly they were all for it. They also approved all of his judges, by the way. So when you want to talk about, well, Trump put all the judges in. Yeah, the Democrats went, he's cool. He's fine. They didn't put any resistance up. Where was that resistance? Where was the Great Wall of Resistance? It wasn't there. So Michael Tracy. So the plan is to increase military spending, reduce corporate taxes, stop regulating the financial services industry, and make a big show of cutting LGBT nonsense, which, while goofy, comprises a trivially small share of the budget. Why anyone finds this revolutionary is bizarre. Trump on Fox News. We want to raise defense spending. I think we have to have it. Right. Meanwhile, everyone's supposed to get all excited for the alleged cost savings for ceasing to regulate credit card companies. Ceasing to regulate credit card companies. Shani asks, where was all this concern when Biden was funding Israel's occupation and terror against the Palestinians? Well, yeah, there was concern. People were concerned and people did get out there, but for the most part, I can't square, a president who's funding two wars and, openly funding a genocide, and somehow not giving it, two F's about what people think about it. In fact, cracking down on the protesters. In fact, calling the protesters anti-Semitic. This is Biden, by the way. But golly gee willikers, the other guy is a fascist. Okay, well, I don't know dial tone on that one. They are in league. They are in league. They are in league. They are, two parts of the same operating system. There is no opposition party in either of these parties. So there's that. Okay, let's look at this. This is about James Hanson's report that things are bad. It's worse, much worse. 9 sad takeaways. I think Obsolete Optics posted this in the Telegram. By the way, I'm going to get back to trying to figure out the Telegram thing. One of the reasons I was late on the show today was I was trying to work out what was going on with live streaming the Telegram, and I still can't work it out. But I will do it. And it shall be so. Or I'll live stream somewhere else. Apparently you can live stream to Substack, but that one is still a weird, can't figure that one out either. But I have to put my tech brain together. Hammer out a few problems or make more coffee, whatever it is it's going to take, and I will try and figure those out. That's right, Jazz Farm. That is correct. Okay. The rate at which Earth is absorbing more heat than it emits has more than doubled in recent years. Summary: global warming has accelerated. Are the United Nations and the public well informed? What say you? I just saw somebody saying what I said I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. And basically in response to Trump pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Like, climate change as an issue is all but dead as a policy issue. And there's lots of reasons to get into that, but I guess I won't try to explain it all right now. But so the public is not well informed, no, and that's on purpose. That's by design. The report, published in Environment, Science and Policy for Sustainable Development, is authored by James E. Hanson and the team of leading climate scientists, including Pushkar Parecha, Makiko Sato, and others. Unlike many climate studies that focus on long-term projections or incremental trends, this report delivers a stark warning. Global warming is now happening faster than expected. And some of the most widely used climate models, including those from the UN's IPCC, underestimate the severity of the crisis. My gosh, where have we heard that before? The authors argue that the pace of warming over the last decade has surpassed previous estimates, largely due to the production of cooling aerosols and the greater than expected climate sensitivity to greenhouse gases. Their work raises serious concerns about whether policymakers and the public fully grasp the scale and urgency of the situation. The 9 sad takeaways. Number 1, global warming has accelerated dramatically since 2010. Global warming has accelerated by more than 50% compared to the 1970-2010 warming rate of 0.18 C per decade. Earth is now warmer than at any point in the last 11,700 years. Did anybody see? Anyways, and may even rival temperatures from the Eemian interglacial period 120,000 years ago. Did anybody see Jimmy Dore interviewed that absolute lunkhead again? What's his name? One of the more famous climate denier dudes out there. Man, and I was like, I couldn't even really watch it. That guy's just full of shit. And he's saying like, oh, well, they left out the temperatures from the Ice Age, and they left out he talks like this is so annoying. Left out the temperatures from the Ice Age. So nobody knows what, dude. No, they didn't. They did not leave out the temperatures from the Ice Age, bro, in the models or whatever. He's just making shit up. Anyways, he's getting a fat check from the oil companies anyways, so he's fine, and we are not. What is his name? I'll remember it in a few. Anyways, I wish Jimmy Dore would not interview this crackpot. I don't know. I feel like there could be better people to. He just is blatantly cherry picking shit. Does anybody know who I'm talking about? Heller. What's his name? Is it John Heller? I think that's his name. Yeah, he interviewed John Heller, which is just the hell. No pun intended, but let's keep going. Anyways, no combination of known mechanisms for warming has been able to reconcile our theories with what has happened. The study asserts that human-caused climate drivers, particularly greenhouse gases and aerosols, fully account for the observed temperature surge, including a critical jump in sea surface temperatures that has effectively pushed the world past the 1.5 C warming threshold, a milestone previously considered avoidable through emissions reductions alone. By the way, if you want to know that John Heller is full of shit, also know that all of the large, oil companies have all done their own research on climate change, and they're like, "Yep, absolutely true, absolutely happening, and is going to get bad." Why would the people that make the problem see the problem, and then their response to the studies was to bury the truth about what's going on? Earth's energy imbalance has grown at an alarming rate. This is number 2. The rate at which Earth is absorbing more heat than it emits has more than doubled in recent years. This is the most fundamental measure of climate change, and it signals the future warming will be even more severe than current models predict. Number 3, the UN's climate models may be too conservative. Well, golly gee willikers. The study argues that the IPCC underestimates both aerosol cooling effects and climate sensitivity. We show that IPCC's emphasis on global climate models led to the marriage of aerosol forcing and climate sensitivity, such as the underestimate of aerosol forcing. What? Did they see? They said the same thing twice. Sorry. The authors claim that the Faustian bargain of air pollution control, where reducing aerosols has led to more rapid warming, was worse than expected. Number 4, cutting ship emissions may have worsened global warming. The International Maritime Organization's 2020 restriction on sulfur emissions may have inadvertently removed a significant cooling effect from the atmosphere. This change caused a sudden and sharp increase in absorbed solar radiation, leading to a 0.5 C rise in global sea surface temperatures and key shipping routes. Aerosols provide a cooling benefit and are also inherently dangerous air pollution. Thus, as global pollution control has improved, the cooling effect of aerosols is lost. With the change of ship regulations, our first Faustian payment came due. 5, a 2023 temperature spike shocked scientists. The 2023 global temperature leap of 0.4 C was far beyond what climate models predicted. Some scientists suggested that no existing climate models could explain the rapid rise, leading to serious concerns that current methodologies may be underestimating the speed and intensity of climate change. Something else important is occurring. Quote, unquote, the study argues that reduced aerosols, a moderate El Nino, and increasing greenhouse gas concentrations combine to create a perfect storm of warming, which could signal the beginning of a far more dangerous phase of climate change. 6, sea level rise is accelerating due to ice sheet destabilization. Antarctic ice melt is happening faster than expected, threatening multi-meter sea level rise over the coming century is the most threatening tipping point. The point of no return will be passed when it becomes impossible to avoid catastrophic loss of the West Antarctic ice sheet. The study warns that if the West Antarctic ice sheet collapses, it would result in irreversible changes that would submerge half of the world's largest cities and force mass human displacement. 7, Earth's albedo reflectivity is declining rapidly. Satellite data shows that Earth is absorbing 1.7 watts per square meter more solar radiation than a decade ago, a change equivalent to increasing CO2 levels from 419 ppm to 557 parts per million. This means that the planet is heating at an unprecedented rate, partially due to the loss of reflective aerosols and melting polar ice. The climate crisis is now an intergenerational justice issue. The delayed response of climate systems means that today's youth will inherit a far worse crisis than policymakers currently acknowledge. The authors stress that fossil fuel reductions alone are not enough. Excuse me, kick the microphone. Active carbon removal strategies, editor note, still to be proven as feasible on a mass scale, will be necessary to prevent further climate destabilization. 9, if this report is correct, climate policy is already outdated. The findings challenge the UN's climate assessment, suggesting that policymakers and the public have been misled about the pace of warming and demand urgent science-driven solutions. If the conclusions are correct, then many existing climate policies and emissions targets are already outdated, and far more aggressive action is needed to avoid the worst outcomes. I have no idea what that means or what they think that is. the authors of this. Editor note, good luck with that. Just 10 of the 195 parties signed up to the landmark Paris Agreement have published their new emissions cutting plan, known as nationally determined contributions, by the February 10 deadline. All right. By the way, the U.S., now is aggressively bailing out of the climate agreement, Paris Climate Agreement. But prior to that, they were not, the goals were not binding, and the U.S. had no intention of adhering to these non-binding goals. Anyways. This is interesting. Or I just thought this was a funny juxtaposition because the UK and the US refused to sign international AI declaration. Remember when I read the article the other day about the EU is putting some kind of guardrails on AI, or at least acknowledging that AI can be damaging and or possibly dangerous, and so they're trying to get out in front of it. And the EU ain't all bad. Sometimes they can, just like China, once in a while, they can do things for the public good. They seem to be capable of doing that. The US is, completely lost, is rudderless, absolutely rudderless. We have no ability to do things in the service of public good, right? It's just all about lying to people so that you can make a buck. It's just absolute rampant banana republic corruption. But the EU is still capable of doing, things that are good for people. And China is too, even though they're playing it being a capitalist state, but they're actually totalitarian. So yeah, they have not signed an international agreement on artificial intelligence at the Global Summit in Paris. The statement, signed by dozens of countries, including France, China, and India, pledges an open, inclusive, and ethical approach to the technology's development. In a brief statement, the UK government said it had not been able to add its name to the agreement because of concerns about national security and global governance, whatever that means. Also, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance told delegates in Paris that too much regulation of artificial intelligence could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off, just as it's about to destroy the planet. Don't want to stop that. Vance told world leaders that AI was an opportunity that the Trump administration will not squander, and said pro-growth AI policies should be prioritized over safety. Yeah. Okay. Sure. And these articles are right next to each other on the same webpage, which I thought was AI can now replicate itself, a milestone that has experts terrified. But no, we don't need any agreements, and by gum, we don't need safety around AI. We just need expansion, economic expansion, and that's all we need. Scientists say AI has crisscrossed a critical red line after demonstrating how two popular large language models could clone themselves. I feel like this is old news, though, isn't it? Scientists say artificial intelligence has crossed a critical red line and has replicated itself. In a new study, researchers from China showed that two popular large language models could clone themselves. Successful self-replication under no human assistance is the essential step for AI to outsmart humans and is an early signal for rogue AIs. The researchers wrote in a study published December 9th, 2024 to the preprint database ARXIV. Arziv. In the study, researchers from Fudan University used LLMs from Meta and Alibaba to determine whether a self-replicating AI could multiply beyond control. Across 10 trials, the two AI models created separate and functioning replicas of themselves in 50% and 90% of cases, respectively, suggesting AI may already have the capacity to go rogue. However, the study has not yet been peer-reviewed, so it's not clear if the disturbing results can be replicated by other researchers. We hope our findings can serve as a timely alert for the human society to put more efforts on understanding and evaluating the potential risks of frontier AI systems and form international synergy to work out effective safety guardrails as early as possible. Rogue AI typically refers to artificial intelligence systems that develop a degree of self-awareness or autonomy and then work to counter human interests or work counter to. Many experts view rogue AI as a growing threat that has been amplified by the explosive growth of so-called frontier AI. Well, that should be fun. I'm talking about the future. Let's see. What else have we got? We got more. I'm trying not to kick the mic stand. Sorry. Whitney Webb says, if you think the deep state was defeated, she's talking about Trump and USA and all kinds of all the stuff. The Doge. Getting the libs out of there or something like that. If you think the deep state was defeated and all you had to do was pull a lever for the right team and you can just watch as everything is made magically better and do nothing but trust the plan and enjoy the show, you probably confused what deep state actually means with the wing of the uniparty that lost last year's election. Oh, yeah. Deep state generally refers to the thing that's underneath the facade of what politics is. Like, Democrats are the good guys and the Republicans are the bad, evil ones. Or vice versa. Democrats are the commies. And Republicans just want freedom, freedom. But the deep state is not concerned with your party or your preference or your, whatever it is you think is going on. They're not concerned. They're concerned with their own existence and their own the protecting, going forward in the future, protecting their positions of power and influence and control. Mass complacency at a time of drastic disruptive change is not a recipe for success. Vigilance and scrutiny matter, as does taking responsibility for your own life and community instead of placing all of your hope for a better life and world in the government. Many of the people who used to distrust, if we actually could counter the Stanford study that showed that, corporations have all of the control over the policies and people have very little control. If we could counter, those, if we can counter like those odds that we're against, right? If we could change things in a way so that the people actually did affect what policies were brought forward. And one of the first ones would be the lessening of the corporate power, right? The taking of the power out of the corporate power and or influence away. And there's probably other entities besides corporations that need to have their power curbed or curtailed. But, if we could leverage our power. If we could flex our muscle, we could raise our voices, if we could come together, if we could do things in a way so that we actually did influence the government, then there wouldn't be, then trusting the government to do, better by you would be not even a matter of faith, but like, hey, if you guys don't do the right thing, then we're going to get out and shut everything down, like they do in France. They do that in France to great effect, right? When they try to do stuff in France that goes against the wishes of the people, they get out and shut the entire thing down. That's how it's done. They shut it down until there's like, and this is, easily verifiable. Does it always go their way? I don't know, but I mean, it seems to put a lot of pressure on the government. They tend to back down when people do stuff like that. They tend to like try a different tack. Oh no, sorry, we were just floating that out there. But they try it. Why do they try it? Because they have the power. The people with power always try it. Oh, sorry. Hold on one second. Sorry. Let's keep reading this. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. Many of the people who used to distrust the system the most and who have the most of the citizen-held weapons have been led to believe that they can fully trust everything happening, can let their guard down against tyranny. They may not physically come for your guns, but they can still attempt to cognitively disarm the American people. She goes on to say, I also find that narratives that deviating from the trust the plan stance is deemed blackpilling, and as peddling paralytic hopelessness very telling, as it frames trusting the plan as the only solution for facing the problems of today. Even though I do offer solutions that I think are helpful, I'm still often told I offer none because trust the plan is not one of them. If trusting the plan is the only way to be considered an optimist or solution-minded person to you, the scope of solutions you are willing to consider is both extremely myopic and Q-flavored. These chips are Q-flavored. Anyways, lastly today, yep. Yes. Apparently my thumbnail of Ron Paul is just not very popular on Rockfin or something. I think I just posted the show late. For whatever reason, if I post the show late, especially on Rockfin, people just are like, nah, we're late, so I'm just not coming. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. we're almost out of here, but I just want to, real quick, if you like the show, if you support the show, if you like hanging out here and watching the show Monday through Friday for free 99, and you want to support the show, well, I support that. You can support the show in the description boxes of every platform that I'm on. There's a bunch of links for ways in which you can support the show. All the usual ones are there: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, blah blah blah. All the ones are there. I think I did get a pretty sure this is a let's see. I think I got one the other day, and I feel like I missed it. Jerry Demers, thank you, Jerry Demers, for the tip on PayPal. Anyways, so many of you already support the show. You know who you are, and I appreciate you. Who keeps voting for Elizabeth Warren? That is a really good question, but you could say the same about Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, AOC. Like, why? Who is voting for these people? How do they keep going? I suspect shenanigans, because I don't know how Nancy Pelosi is still. Mitch McConnell. How are these people still getting voted in year after year after year after year, election season after election season after? I mean, they are barely functioning human beings. Who is voting for them? I don't believe. I've seen enough to not really believe much of any of these outcomes, these voting outcomes. I'm sorry if that sounds negative or skeptical. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that people are like, yeah, no, they're really cool. No, they're still doing a great job. Get back in there. 40 years later, just go ahead and keep on going. Like, no, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I do not believe it. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. Okay. Last thing I want. There seems to be a lot of chatter, talking about the flu and people being sick, and that's true. Like, something has been going around. Pretty nasty flu has been going around, but it's like survivable, but it's not fun. Although, for a lot of people are having like respiratory issues with the flu, and a lot of congestion seems to be, for some people it might be, cause for, alarm or going to the doctor. And that's, sometimes you got to go to the doctor. So there is a pretty nasty flu going around, but I really feel like they're conflating it, trying to turn it into something else, really trying to turn it into bird flu or, something. I don't know. They're calling it influenza A in some places. Hold on one second. Salt Laker said lots of eggs at the supermarket yesterday. Okay, that's good. Eggs are coming. Eggs are back. Eggs are coming back. All right. Anyways, intel sources are reporting hospitals in Marion County, Indiana, are overwhelmed with H5N1 bird flu, human to human. And like, shut up. How do you know this? This is wild to me. Like, that this is bird flu infections leading to an ICU. I mean, come on, man. This is very reminiscent of the COVID. The ICUs are overflowing. people are lined up with, and I was like, yeah, during COVID, I remember driving past all the places that were open for COVID and there was nobody there. I remember driving past all the hospitals, nobody was there. I was like, all right, looks like an epidemic to me. But this is kind of wild that this person is saying that it's bird flu going to humans and the emergency rooms are at max capacity. The CDC is aware of the situation. I was like, bro, you need to walk this all the way back because that's not cool. That's not, how do you know that's true? That's not even true. That's not, has anybody seen any news stories about H5N1s jump to humans and it's hospitals are overflowing? Maybe, I don't know. Hold on one second. I mean, I haven't, if it's jumped to humans and is causing a pandemic for hospitals to overflow, that's a lot. That is a lot. That's a big claim, bro, on Twitter. Yeah. Not really seeing anything here. I mean, this dude for basically just made this shit up, I was like, just, slow your roll, dude. And on top of that, post a picture with all the people in the ICUs overflowing, It's like, all right, some dude, he was a doctor, he was a medical doctor, and he said the ICUs are totally at max capacity. Okay. Okay. But I see a lot of this on Twitter too, with the whole ramping up of like, oh, COVID's back. It's the biggest, more people are infected than ever. I was like, you said the same thing. Like, more people have COVID than ever in the United States since 2020. I've seen the same post like at least once a month, if not once a week for the last 3 months. So I was like, really? Has it just been going up every single week? Just COVID? And I just see, there's just people just falling out from COVID all over the place. No, there's nobody has COVID. Just stop it. Stop it. Just stop. Stop all this. It's nonsense. Whatever. Or, it's flu season and there's a flu going around. So they're trying to really like conflate it with something else. I don't know. It's really annoying. But it is flu season. So I don't know. Keep vitamin C on deck. Keep all the T's on deck. Whatever it is you do for flu, keep the vitamins going, keep exercising, keep, trying to stay healthy and all that kind of good stuff. But but this has been a feature, for the last year, for sure. Last couple of years. Oh, here comes monkeypox. Oh no, COVID's back. Oh no, it's bird flu. Bird flu's coming. Here we go. Maybe if we call out the bird flu bullshit enough, it'll stop the egg shortage, because that's a bunch of whackness. That's my scientific opinion. All right. Super scientific, I think that's it, guys, that I have for you today. It's the whole enchilada, as I say. But thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. I don't know that I have anybody else to thank as far as contributors to the show. DB Cooper says Nancy Pelosi's highest vote count ever is 281,776. But she claims she represents 37 million Californians. Well, she represents her district. And she happens to be, or was, speaker. she's, higher up in the Democratic Party, but 281,000 is not a lot of votes for a I'm sure who knows how many people are in her district. But she's from San Francisco, right? It's a few million people there. So 281,000 is not a lot. What's her district? Where is she? 11th congressional district, includes most of San Francisco. There's a few million people in San Francisco, right? Am I right? Or in the area? Yeah, 281,000 is not a majority of anything that's going on there. Somehow she keeps getting elected, and her opponents keep getting, well, they just don't make it to the finish line. I'm not talking about anything nefarious. I'm just saying nobody with any kind of anything, like, I mean, they just make sure that nobody gets close, right? Nobody with any kind of credentials or charisma or, like, capabilities, like, they just, if you have any kind of talent whatsoever, like, they're just going to make sure that you don't even get close to the race. Like, they're going to be like, nope, out of here, bucko. I mean, what's her face kept going. Dianne Feinstein was going in. I mean, was a walking corpse. Or is she? Where is she now? Is she still alive? I don't even know. Because she was barely functional and she was still in Congress. She passed away in 2023. All right. But wasn't she in office? She was in office when she died. She served for 30 years. Yeah, 30 years. And she was completely, dysfunctional, not functional, not a functional human being when she was still in office. Like, how is that possible? Anyways, all right. I'm rambling, but thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate you. You all are wondrous and smarter than the average bear, I might add. Let's see. Let me check and see if I have anybody else to thank, and then I will leave you alone. I'll leave you to talk amongst yourselves. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. See you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific. And until next time, what's this? Steph C says, I think Costco keeps running out of eggs because their eggs are cheap compared to other places. Yeah. Well, same with Trader Joe's eggs are pretty cheap. So they don't last long. All right, guys. Have a good one.